want to be deceived, basically. And I think that's what's going on with this guy here.
I mean, you could
Interesting.
say that, but I've done the homework, and I'm gonna do more. I'm just
Very easy to just squish the map or not tell us about certain portions, or just make a model based on the stars that they already mapped out. They just put it through, and I think they already had stuff like computers to compute this stuff. So I think I think they're so far ahead of the computer technology we have now that you know what I mean. I don't know. It's not even now obviously they could do this, right? They could take a flat Earth map and a flat Earth sky and make it into a globe pretty easily.
There's also the fact that
dude,
not everybody wants to just be rational and understand the truth. There's people who actually want to be hypnotized by cult ideologies and just become insane because they just like what it does for them. So I think it's kind of a mistake to think that people are just confused based on the confusing information that's out there. There's a lack of truth in general in these people's lives that make them want to be deceived, basically. And I think that's what's going on with this guy here.
I mean, you could say that, but I've done the homework, and I'm gonna do more. I'm just getting started in that regard. So.
Well, I mean, even you would agree that not all of society is rational people, right? Not everyone's.
Yeah, I would agree with
out
that,
for
and
the
I
truth.
also agree that most people's understanding of the world is based on just at least 60%, I would say, of people and people that don't have technical training, their understanding of the world is just based in what they've been taught and putting trust in authority because they haven't been shown how to do the independent verifications and they don't have the technical training to really understand scientific papers and data. In my case, I do have that training, so I have it a bit easier, and I have quite extensive training in that regard. But regardless, the proof is in the pudding that I can go out, and I'm planning to go out and measure things myself, like GPS, gyroscope drift. I have a method that I've come up with to measure curvature physically with a gyroscope. It's just going to be exceptionally expensive. But that's my point is you can go out and you can measure all of that stuff for yourself from first principles. So the idea that it's faked to me doesn't make any sense. And I don't see how that could be the case. But I will say, yes, with regards, even in my case, right, even with all of my technical training and whatever, when I first showed up in this server, I knew basically nothing about the globe. If you had asked me why I thought the Earth was a globe prior to engaging with you guys, I would have said, oh, well, Eratosthenes and, I've seen photos from space or something.
How long ago was that?
Maybe a little shadow
4
on
months
the
ago?
sun. Maybe a little Earth's shadow on the moon, lunar eclipse action in there. Did you go that? That's advanced for the more
I didn't really
beginning stuff of it.
Hold on. So you knew 4 months ago nothing about your model, but you're in here saying that you're how do you put it? You're qualified. How did you say?
You had a
You've been
starter
technically
pack.
trained. You've been technically trained.
You had a boats over the curve, maybe a little shadow on the moon for the lunar eclipse. Although not everyone even really knows that one. A little Eratosthenes. So you the sticks in the ground. But did you understand where the assumption was in it though? The sticks in the ground at the time?
No, I didn't know that at all. No, I didn't know about the parallel sun rays, and I certainly didn't know that two sticks can work on either model.
Yeah.
So that's why I don't ever talk about Eratosthenes now because it's not a very compelling test for me. I think that the most direct and compelling pieces of evidence are for curvature using theodolites to measure drop over distance of objects below eye level and below horizontal as a function of distance.
So visual.
For rotation, well, that and then GPS and then gyroscopes for measuring rotation. And those
you're going to use optics for curve, though, but there's refraction always, right?
Well.
No, you really can. If you really knew GPS, you would know you can't.
I do really know GPS better than anyone in this room. I guarantee you that.
Okay. We need
All right,
I've-
so
I know way more about GPS than Alan. Alan's never worked with raw ECEF coordinates. I'm sorry.
all right.
I don't disagree
Steelman,
with Alan. But
Alan's argument why GPS
so,
does not work.
yeah. So Alan says that there's a couple points that he makes. They're basically mostly based on the work of Ruang Wang and Ron Hatch, as well as the arguments that Robert Bennett and Robert and Sungenis have made. Typically, what he says is that GPS falsifies special relativity because it doesn't actually use a Sagnac correction in the way that's claimed. He also claims that the Sagnac effect in general is linearizable, and therefore it doesn't show up as a function of the rotation of the Earth or the rotation or the movement of the satellites. Says that there's Galilean transforms that are used, not Lorentz transforms, which also falsifies relativity with regards to GPS. And then all of that suggests geostationary because if you abandon the notion of being unable to measure, relativity says you cannot measure with an interferometer uniform transitory motion, as was the case in Michelson-Morley. And if you abandon that, then we ought to be able to measure the movement of the Earth with a Michelson interferometer, and the fact that we can't means that it's stationary. With regards to their argument about GPS and flat Earth, they claim that there's a kinematic equivalence over the flat Earth, and that you basically can show that the satellites could just move over the plane. I
And
think
light
that's
has preferred direction, right?
forgot that one. Yep.
And what's your argument against that or any of these?
Well, it's just, again, it's not true. Like, you can go through and you can verify how things were done. And I have a lot of respect for Hatch because he was a G, but just because he was an expert in certain aspects of GPS doesn't mean he's an expert in all of them. With regards to Ruang Wang, his work was essentially creating, his interferometer was a very clever idea, but ultimately it didn't do what he wanted it to do. Basically what it does is and I have a paper right here, the Sagnac-Wang interferometer and absolute versus relative simultaneity by primary author is Lombare. And basically it can be shown that the Wang interferometer just does a transformation which makes a non-inertial frame of reference appear inertial by conversion of rotational motion to what is apparent linear motion. But nonetheless, the rotation is still there, so it is still non-inertial, which means it's not violating special relativity. With Sagnac effect, specifically, I mean, there's tons of derivations that use special relativity. Special relativity is the only correct way to derive the Sagnac effect. The stuff that Alan has cited on that front is just based on an incorrect application of the theory, from what I've seen. With regards to relativistic corrections in GPS, it's open and free. So I'm planning on verifying those relativistic corrections myself to the extent of my ability. If I can't do that, then that would be, oh shit, well, maybe there's something there. But to my knowledge, everything's done at the receiver side, and everything is done in full compliance with special and general relativity.
There's a paper that specifically brings up what you just talked about and shows without a doubt the math is clear as day that when you're adding or subtracting the speed of light to that distance, to that receiver, right, that it clearly shows a variance.
Yeah,
So
didn't Ron Hatch? Is it?
And Ron Hatch
Sorry,
was
go
brought
ahead.
in by NASA. Oh yeah, I think we were about to say the same thing. Go ahead, Jeremy.
Isn't Ron Hatch the guy who fixed GPS? Like it
Yep.
wasn't good, and then he made it way better, and then he
Yeah,
wrote a book
but-
called
but
Escaping Einstein.
Yeah,
Yes,
it wasn't
but
working.
the Hatch filter is not related to relativistic corrections. It's related to multipath effect.
What's
Wait,
his
what?
Escaping Einstein book all about?
The Hatch, that the work of Hatch, as far as I know, was related to the Hatch. Primarily was that, I mean, he did other work in precision GPS, but his main contribution that you're talking about to fix GPS, as it were, was not related to the relativistic corrections. It was related to the multipath effects.
Yeah, do you know what his
No,
book
no.
Escaping Einstein was about?
I haven't read that book yet, but I'm looking to read more of Hatch and specifically. But I don't know how you can say know unless you have evidence to the contrary. Where in GPS
You just
does
said you
Hatch's
think.
work show up? No, I know
Relativity.
for a fact. I
It
know
was
for a fact
corrections to
that
relativity.
no, it wasn't. If a Hatch filter is multipath effects, it's a different thing entirely. Unless you can
I've
point to
never
me.
even heard of
unless you
that.
can
I
show
read
me
like
what-
4 papers on this. What are you saying?
Yeah, well, that just shows that you haven't done much background research on GPS. Like the pseudo, and I have a presentation I'd be happy to give here on the topic. I'm going to upload it to my YouTube channel soon that I did with Shoebill. But the pseudo range equation. Let me pull up my GPS presentation. 1 second. The
Yeah, man.
pseudo range
I've
equation.
heard you be wrong about 3 other things so far, so I'm gonna side with myself on this one. I hope you take
Well,
no
that's fine.
offense.
That's called the Dunning-Kruger effect, and the
No
fun part
bias.
about
No, it's not. That assumes that it goes both
That's-
ways, by the way, and that assumes that you're smarter than me. And
I am.
Oh, you are. Okay. Do you want to put
Yes.
$5,000 on an IQ test live here on Discord?
Yeah, sure. It's
Okay.
going to have to be a little bit, but we have to put the money in escrow first. I'm not
You
going to do
guys
no escrow
are.
bets.
You guys are.
Here we go
devolving
already.
Into
If you
My
want to put that
G's,
down, that's
a bit
fine,
of
but we got to put the
ridiculousness.
money. We need to secure the money ahead of time and put it in escrow. So
Dude, you guys.
Never
Did you say
mind, bro.
5K?
You're gonna literally just keep changing and switching the goalposts.
no, I won't.
It's
I'll
never
make
gonna
very
happen.
clear. Make very clear criteria. Everyone here knows I pay up on my debts. You can ask
I
me.
will-
anything.
Don't
We will
challenge him,
turn
bro.
this car
Anyway,
around right now.
Anyway.
You owe me
So,
$50
Wait,
more than
the pseudo range equation. So you have. Can I share my screen? I really need to get back to work, but I can't share my screen. Okay, I'll
Why
post
not?
it in the chat.
No, you should be
I
able
don't
to.
know.
The good thing about, well, you
I
might
don't
need the roll, or I don't know if you have it. Let me see.
Yeah, I don't have firms, so hold on. Let me just post it in the chat.
Well, I'll just
post
give
the
it to you. It
screen.
takes 2 seconds.
Okay. All right.
Register, that's a bad idea. That's the bet you proposed. Don't do it.
Why?
Because he's not
I know
dumb.
I know my IQ,
Yeah.
and I
What
know
is it?
damn well.
Mordwand's not dumb.
I don't care if he's not dumb.
What is your IQ? I'm curious. I actually don't know what mine is. I've never taken a test, but I estimate it's about 125. Between 115 and 120.
158, bro. So
Fucking bullshit,
maybe we
dude.
should pump the
You're such
brakes.
a liar. Do you know what percentile is
okay,
that?
let's go. 5,000.
You said
I'm in the top
158? That's like the
158.
99.95 percentile.
My
There's
dick's
no
bigger.
chance.
Talking to a member of Mensa.
There's no
Mine is
chance.
my IQ is
Talking to a member of
190.
Mensa right now. Mordwand.
So,
You have a
okay, so then it's
125?
really easy. That's easy. Show me your Mensa membership.
Oh, let's do this live for $5,000. Let's go.
Show me your Mensa membership in chat.
Please do it.
No, let's do this.
Oh no, why not?
$5,000 because I don't want you backing out after.
How about this? I'll post my master's degree redacted, and the average IQ of someone with a master's degree is about 115 to 120. In STEM, it's a little higher. So that substantiates my IQ. Go ahead and post your Mensa card.
How's that substantiate your
Post your Mensa.
IQ?
Yeah, I take back what I said about
It's
Mordwand.
quantitative. Anyway, that's not what we were trying to talk about. So
Yeah, dude,
I will do it, but you're completely delusional,
dude,
and you
you
don't
shouldn't.
realize how
Hey,
extreme
Mordwand,
what you said was.
Mordwand, no
But we're getting
offense,
off
but
topic. Let's get away from the meta. So pseudo range.
Dude,
I
that was so
posted
rude
the-
though. Hold on, man. That's not even cool, dude. And you know what? I was about to like, here's the issue I'm having. While that was happening, for some reason on Discord, when I try to, like, for you, the screen share role is not even showing up as an option, even though every other role on the server is, other than just that one. Even though the role is fine, like other people have it and it's working fine. So I don't know, like, why that's happening with your account, if it's just a glitch or whatever it is. And then as a quick solution, I was just going to give you like a live stream host role, which would give you like basically like that one definitely has a screen share. And I was about to give it to you, and then you start like ad homing them, and I'm like, oh.
All right, well, that's fair enough.
Like, dude, why'd you have to
I
take it
posted
to that
in the
level?
chat.
Like,
Can you
I'm
just
not even
post
saying
it
I would
in
have.
the
I would.
chat?
Well, here I could give you the guest one anyways right now. Okay, guest live stream moderator. All right, try this role. Now you're a live stream moderator. Okay, you're a guest live stream moderator. See if it'll let you share now. I don't know why the screen share role isn't working.
Still not working for me.
You still can't. Well, then it's on your end then.
I have the
Well, maybe
screen
because you
share
already have the
role
screen
and it's
share.
not
I'm not
letting
sure if
me
it's-
screen share.
Oh, you already have the screen. That's why I wasn't in the list. Okay,
Yeah, it's not working.
Sorry.
Maybe there's something wrong with the perms for the stage. Anyway, but
it's on your end then. I was okay. Oh, perms. Okay, let me double check that then. All right, maybe that.
Yeah,
is
I have the screen share role too, and it's not letting me screen share. Not that I want
That's
to.
why
but
I need to add it to the. Okay, thank you. You actually, that's a fix for the. I need to fix that. So thank you. All right, it'll work in 2 seconds.
All right.
Cannot believe we listened to this guy insult us all night for 125.
I totally believe it.
See, but the thing is, 125 is a believable number that's evidence-based. 168 is
It's
or 158.
low. It's low. You are.
It's about 85th percentile.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
Are you sure about that? Do you know how
I'm pretty sure.
percentiles works? All right, let's look it
should
up.
work now. It should work. Like you should be able to share video now. That's the only thing I changed. It's just the.
How much?
You're
do you
nowhere
want
near
to bet
genius level, Mordwand.
How much?
Yeah,
how much do you want to bet?
125.
Right.
No, this
Oh,
is the
sorry,
cool thing about the
125.
stage.
125
Sorry, this
is
is the.
95th percentile. Sorry, I got it wrong.
Yep.
All right, I'm in my own world because I'm setting this up. But one of the cool things about the stage is that multiple people can all share their screen. That's what's really cool. So like I have this Antarctica thing. I have all this other footage, which if you guys have been seeing is some of it, but there's a bunch. Anyways, I'm just saying multiple people can share their screen at once and everyone can see whichever one they want to click on. It's kind of cool. Like people don't have to like separately join each person when they go live, It's just already there if they choose to, zoom it in or whatever and see the full screen of whoever they want to look at. Anyways, it should work now though, the screen share role. So yeah, that should work now.
I'm just saying 125 seems low. I'm probably pushing 170, 180. I don't know. But
Yeah. No,
I feel like that's
Jeremy,
where
you're
I'm
like
at.
over 9,000. You got like.
I'm probably in the
Like,
200s. I don't even know, man. I don't want to take it and break their brains.
Yeah.
I'm 222,
Yeah. Jeremy, the thing about you too is you're just so extraordinarily humble as well. That helps when you have that high of an IQ.
Very humble.
Anyway,
Me and Blob.
I still don't see the options.
Me and Blob aren't allowed to take the
Screen
IQ
share.
test because we don't want to like find out what we are.
Yeah, you'll break it, and every time you eat shit, you gain 10 IQ points statistically.
So that's the most base thing you've said all day.
It's funny is that actually is a legitimate medical therapy in some cases. If you've had antibiotics that fuck up your gut biome, they do actually have like poop pills that you can take. So it's not totally.
Try it now. Maybe it did only let one share.
What,
I have to look
try
into
eating your own shit or
no
screen
sharing
shares?
your dude. Absolutely not. That is not a good practice or healthy or has ever been used for anything.
All right, cool. So here's the pseudo-range equation. I have the reference in the bottom right-hand corner. And this, by the way, this is a full walkthrough of how to do the position calculation yourself from the raw data. But pseudo-range says difference between the navigation satellite. We can change that to high-altitude platform if you'd like, but it is above the ionosphere, certainly. Pseudo-range is the distance between the navigation satellite at the time of signal emission from the satellite and the receiver at the time of reception. This is observed with errors due to propagation and relativistic effects, as well as inherent measurement error. Sensors are only so accurate. But basically, as it moves, there's going to be a deviation. And so the pseudo-range is composed of these effects. So there is this essentially like unmeasurable, directly measurable true range, minus the speed of light times the clock difference, plus the propagation effect through the ionosphere, plus the propagation effect through the troposphere, tidal effects, and this is the part that Hatch worked on, path effects or multipath effects. I don't completely understand those effects, but I know that that's what the Hatch filter is used for. And then the relativistic corrections are separate. So you have three corrections, GR, VREL, which is the special relativity due to the velocity, and then SAGNAC, which is due to the rotation of the Earth. there are two different frames that are used in GPS. The ECEF, which is the Earth-centered, Earth-fixed, rotates with the Earth, meaning it's a non-inertial frame. For the purposes of the relativistic corrections, we use the Earth-centered inertial, which is a frame that assumes that the because there is a actual kinematic equivalence, you can assume either that the Earth is rotating for the purpose of kinematics, or you can assume that the stars rotate around the Earth. And the ECI frame is used for the relativistic effects. I have a future presentation plan on the relativistic effects. This one doesn't really go into them too much, but basically that's the thing. So unless you have evidence to the contrary, the thing that I'm aware of is that Hatch worked on the multipath effect. The Hatch filter was to correct for multipath effects, which is a separate thing from the relativistic corrections.
But you don't understand that area, so how do you know that for sure?
Well, because I've read references on it and I've looked at it. So if you have references to the contrary, that he did something in relation to the relativistic effects, that's you could post that. The other way that I know that is because this is open source and free. This paper, this article here, goes through and does the full end-to-end from raw pseudo range data to position using least squares. You can also, the more accurate method is with a Kalman filter. But yeah. And I'm planning in the future, like I said, this presentation doesn't do relativistic effects. This is just the basics of GPS, but I'm planning on getting a receiver of like a basic receiver and pulling the raw data and doing it end to end and verifying all this myself.
So this pseudo range is what Hatch worked on? Is that what you're saying?
He, among other things, but the portion of the so-called like Hatch patch or the Hatch filter was related to the multipath effects. Yes.
So when it says in practice, we observed the pseudo range with errors due to propagation and relativistic effects.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so how's that have nothing to do with relativity?
Because it's a separate term in the equation. The relativistic effects are separate from the path effect. They're calculated differently. And the Hatch filter is what is used to correct for multipath effects. And we could look up together exactly what multipath effects are. I just haven't done the research into that area. But when you look at the actual code for GPS, that's where Hatch's work shows up. And again, it's completely open. You can pull the signals. You can check it yourself. If you have a 158 IQ, you should be able to do that easily.
So what was the problem with NASA before Hatch made these corrections? What was happening?
I don't know. Could you tell me?
Oh, okay.
I think that there was issues with position fixes due to the multipath effects, and that's what he came in and fixed in this regard.
The multipath
effect. Yes, that's what he's famous for, is the Hatch filter, which is related to multipath effects. It's not related to relativistic corrections.
I wonder if Ron Hatch agrees and calls it multipath effects that he fixed.
Well,
I'd be interested in that.
I would be interested in that as well.
Sounds like a Band-Aid, like multipath. Just sounds like another way for them to get out of something. It's like dark matter, dark energy, the red shift that was seen, so now we're on a loaf of bread, that type thing.
Yeah, well, you can verify all this yourself. Like I said,
Yeah, I'll look into it, man.
I got the link right here. It's not that you can even find online the see. Yeah. Right here. This is the link that I had.
Where are you posting?
I'll post in the chat. Oh, I think I'm just sharing one part of my. I'll post it in the live stream text.
Yeah, man. More,
Yeah,
more,
but yeah. So just real quick, a comment back on some of that. We don't have to totally split to it, but just if there's a little dead air for a second. Yeah, like of all the footage I found, the additional footage, like if the sun set there and was just like a blue sky, I think I would have found some evidence of that, and I've seen no evidence of that yet. It just seems like the sun is always in the sky in some position, and I have seen it now in every position. So now that whole thing, like it could be like a whole fake area or like a fake sun or like any number of those, like I guess general possibilities. But I mean, at this point, like I would say like the footage is pretty conclusive that they're going to see a 24-hour sun there, which would make sense why Duffy and even Whitsitt said he talked to someone the other day who had been to Union Glacier and said it was a sun that stayed up the whole time in the sky. So
I guess we'll find out soon.
but yeah, I mean, there are always possibilities they could fake it, but so the thing that would be really unfortunate is that if they have like so much cloud cover that all they can see is a little bit of light, but they can't really get like a good zoom on it. That would be a little bit of a bummer if it was inconclusive. It doesn't really have to be seen as a bummer, but it would just be a little bit like, oh, okay, it didn't quite get like just because we all know that like that the clouds, if it's really cloudy, that could obviously just block the view. But some of these other footages I found, it was just like seemed like they were authentic, like people just vlogging their whole trip and being there, and then more like footage at that Union Glacier site and the sun being in that position and all that. But like that's the thing I was saying about the sun though, like with at the equator is like when the sun's at the equator and then as it starts coming inwards to the Tropic of Cancer, it arcs more and more to the right. Like it keeps like a horseshoe arcs, and then that horseshoe that's arcing into Polaris ends up becoming the 24-hour sun once you get there. But that same pattern happens for, going south of the equator, going south. So to me, like it wouldn't be surprising that would continue that way and then may have that 24-hour sun effect. Like it completely makes sense that it'd be a mirror.
Yeah.
It's already tilting that way once it goes south of the equator. Like the first day that the sun starts going south of the equator at the equinox is when that shifts. And that arc, if it's reflecting the one in the north as the north one goes, then as the one that happens at the beginning of the south already starts doing that arc. So the idea that it would continue and then you would get that effect. Again, doesn't mean it's on a globe though. It could still occur on a plane, but it would have to be like two actual sort of poles in a way, or like points. And then that would also make the sun not like one thing, because now it's like, oh, okay, now it's like there would have to be like multiple suns or multiple things we call suns, if that were to be fully kind of considered from that kind of idea of it.
And here's a
Schlitzy or hot mic, I think, unless it's Mordwand.
Oh, might be me if it's typing noises.
No, it's Schlitzy.
Oh, sorry.
Yasuke, how did you figure out I'm a man? Can I ask you that, or do you not want to share your secrets?
Perfect. You've been wanting to get into this.
Oh,
Yeah, so
no.
I can very clearly see just based on your skull, like your skull is very distinctly male in nature.
Oh, thank you.
Hey, what?
Anyway, so I just posted
Alrighty then.
I just posted a paper on the multipath mitigation analysis using hatch filter and DTW and single frequency RTK. That's an article on what the hatch filter does. So anyway, I do have to get some work done. Any of the last things you guys want me to respond to?
Just going back to what you and I were talking about, like what was the kind of finality on like, yeah, like is your motivation moving forward more to just try to like destroy anything that's not the globe, or are you wanting to actually like discover that there could be more and actually be on that cutting edge side of it? Like that was because that's what we were talking about before. So like what was your kind of like final stance on that?
If anyone has evidence that's compelling in measurements, I'm happy to see them. And if I'll put it out this way: like, if you want me to try to model something on the flat Earth side, I'm not opposed to necessarily trying it. So,
Well, yeah, I
and
mean, you can already model the celestial sphere within like a massive dome, a massive planet, a planetarium. But you could map like several of them, so you could have like different latitudes because they're obviously different latitudes. But there's a bunch of things that could be awesome to be done. I mean, the thing is, we do need to know more about the South in general. So, like, if they're able to go and get footage on this trip they're doing, that looks pretty genuine. I mean, I've seen a lot of the other footage of this whole thing. So, I'm kind of hoping they'll have footage through the whole plane trip, though. Like, do we think we're gonna get that? But anyways, like, do you think like the whole is someone gonna have at least full footage of the whole trip? Like, I hope so. But anyways, um, but yeah. So the thing is, though, like, there's just more that needs to be known about all of these factors so that a larger piece can be put together. But yeah, Mordwand. All right, so yeah, I mean, you're saying that like I just don't see like what what would come out of because like yeah, I guess like I mean, is it that you would want to like if you wanted to like debate it or like suppress it or tell people it's wrong or whatever, like if you have a strong drive for that, like is it because you don't want other people, you want to like have other people think the same way that you do about it?
No, I mean, my main motivation, like, originally I thought that I could maybe convince people that are flat earthers that the earth is a globe. I don't generally see that as something that's uh possible most of the time. So I think my motivation is more so just towards general education. And if people come up with a different conclusion, that's fine. But I think the biggest thing is just to encourage and empower people to go out and learn things and measure things themselves. I think that the other thing I would say is that it's
Yeah,
sort
but
of
can the average person measure the Earth?
yeah, 100%.
That's just an open-ended question. It's just kind of a
Yeah,
rhetorical question.
I think so. Yeah, I think anyone can. I don't think it's particularly difficult or mathematically complicated.
Exclusive proof?
Yep. Yeah.
Can you give one example?
Drop over
Does it
distance
include
measured.
sticks in the ground?
No, it doesn't.
So drop over
Wah, wah.
distance requires
Uh,
optics, and you guys always scream refraction. So
Yes, but refraction always causes things to behave in a particular way that is in the opposite of how you would need it to. So the
what?
effect of yeah, so objects are measured. You can measure the missing target height as approximately 8 inches per mile squared, but you're going to measure it without refraction. What is the effect of refraction? Refraction in standard atmosphere reduces the missing height to 6.756 inches per mile squared. Because refraction always causes light to bend towards the more dense medium, it means that objects appear higher due to refraction, not lower.
Yeah, almost as if they're perfectly on a stationary flat plane.
No,
So
because you
so it
can't.
bends the way we need it
No,
to, not the
it
way we
goes.
don't need it to.
No, it goes the opposite way. When things
Dude, what?
yeah, it goes the opposite way you need it to. It lifts objects in the distance. That's the
Yes.
whole reason that we see further. So
That's
if
the
it were the
whole
case,
reason we see further, exactly. Or
yeah. So thanks,
refraction.
welcome to the globe.
Or what
Dude,
we
this
see is normal, and refraction changes it sometimes to make it look like a globe. Because all
No,
the
it doesn't.
observation. Okay. Yeah, no, but you don't know that for sure, which is the
No,
whole
I do know
root
that
of
for
our
sure.
arguments tonight, is that you can't entertain the other side. I can. So I think that might be the difference there, is you can't put yourself in the other side's shoes and give it an actual thought. Like you said, you went to your teacher and he's like, why are you wasting your time on this? You guys see it as being so silly, you can't even entertain it.
No, I can. I'm giving very rational arguments as to why it can't work the way you're describing. Um, Refraction lifts objects in the distance. It doesn't make them drop. So
Bro,
yeah,
the
I think
only
this is
it makes
Punta
it
Arenas.
look
refraction can work the way that you want it to is in an unstable density gradient near the surface where more dense air is elevated above less dense air, which causes light to bend up towards the more dense medium. Refraction always causes light
That's
to
what
bend.
you guys would want, because then it would make things look lower.
No.
What am I missing?
So what you're missing is that when we're above the surface, significantly above the surface, as I was, for example, standing on the Sugarloaf Dam by Turquoise Lake, when you look into the distance, objects drop in accordance with the curvature of the Earth, precisely in accordance with that. And I've done the statistical analysis on the data myself to verify that from 2 different observers doing measurements. So it's not like I'm just positing this out of nowhere. I've worked with the data and I've observed the same effect.
Optical measuring device, correct? Like a theodolite or a total station, where you have to look as far as you're looking, which has to be far if you're doing Earth curve, and you're lining up the crosshairs with a apparent position of something, correct?
Yes, an apparent position that's 6.756 inches per mile squared, being lifted by 1.25 inches on average in standard atmosphere due to refraction.
So
it's not
you
causing the object.
It's not causing the object what?
The refraction is not in a refraction in a stable density gradient does not cause objects to appear lower than they are. So it works the opposite way you would need it to.
Bro, you're putting your theodolite down. You're looking out way too far. You're putting your crosshairs over. Just go with me here. You're putting your crosshairs over an area.
Way too far. Right? Like, where are you going to?
And if you're looking at an area that's not really there due to refraction, due to whatever, just Atmos in general, right? That little angle that you're measuring from your device is going to be severely different when you equate it to up and down tide or raise or drop. No. Yeah, because you're looking at something so far away that small tiny angle is going to be way more impacted by error than if you were looking at something from a shorter distance.
Correct. So error 100% is systematic and random, because error is systematic and random, and I've looked at the data myself. There's not a systematic error, and the random variation is very small. So what you're describing is demonstrably false from the data, and you don't have any substantiation. Yes.
What you just said doesn't even address. What you just said doesn't even address what I said.
Yes, it addresses it directly. You're claiming that the error is greater than the measurement. That's not true. The magnitude of the error
is what I'm claiming.
Okay, then what are you claiming?
I'm claiming that a small inaccuracy over a long distance, a distance that you would need to try to prove or disprove your Earth curve, right? If you are off just a tiny bit with those crosshairs, that angle that's being measured, right, is going to equate in so much more of an error in drop or rise than if you were using it at a 50-yard distance.
What is your basis for that claim?
Because it's an angle. It's an angle measuring device. That's all it is. Theodolite. So if I'm looking at something 50 meters away and I can get it dead on accurate where there's really not much refraction between me and the object, I can walk to it and essentially verify that it is where it is, right?
But refraction isn't random.
Hold on, I'm not done. So then, yeah, but over short distances, it's not going to be as dramatic, right?
So it has the same effect.
Pound for pound.
It has the same effect. The effect of refraction is known. I already told you that
the same percentage effect, yes, but not the same distance, right? That's what I'm talking about, because you won't let me finish.
Refraction raises objects by 1.25 inches per mile squared in standard atmosphere, causing an apparent increase in height.
Okay.
There is variation around what's measured, but the variation is very small. So what you're describing isn't substantiated. I've looked at the data.
You don't understand what I'm saying, and maybe you would if you let me talk, but you're not understanding what I'm saying.
I do understand what you're saying. You're casting doubt. You're casting doubt on the fact that you can accurately measure the angles needed at distance to get curvature measurements.
Why?
Well, you're claiming something about the error, but it's not clear what exactly you're claiming.
No, I'm not. I'm not claiming anything about the error. I'm claiming that an inaccuracy or an error over a larger distance that you're looking with a theodolite, because it's just an angle measuring device, is going to be exponentially greater error
then
in
you're
the rise or the drop.
Are you? I don't know what you're like saying here because you're contradicting yourself. You just said you weren't talking about error. Now you're saying you're talking about error. Can you prove that the error
I'm
increases
saying it's
exponentially?
not about the error so much as the angle at the
Yeah,
distance.
but here's the thing: there's a true measurement and there's an error. So you're claiming what in relation to those two quantities?
You're framing it again as if I'm speaking about the error. The error isn't the issue. There's going to be an error. You don't know all the variables. So the further off you go, your crosshairs are lined up with something. Don't tell me you can mathematically figure out all of the atmos in between you and that.
You don't have to. In standard
Especially
atmosphere,
if it's a
you don't,
globe, those are curving, right? If it's
you don't have
flat,
to.
then
We
they're
know
not.
the effect. We know the effect of terrestrial refraction in standard atmosphere, and I've already
You-
quantified it for you
Oh,
many
so
times.
it's the same on every day then.
Well, if you go out and you control for the weather conditions, you will find that you'll get the same results. If you don't, there will be
Control for weather.
variation. Yes, control for weather by going out at specific temperatures and times of day at the same time of year, and repeating the measurements. Or you don't do that and you record what you get, and you'll get increased error. And I can show you two data sets that show exactly what I'm describing, but the error doesn't hide the curvature. It creates oscillation around a systematic effect, which is curvature. Sometimes refraction is less, and sometimes it's more, and that causes objects to either the effect in a stable density gradient because of the properties of the atmosphere and basic optics, terrestrial refraction being derived from Snell's law. As the light moves, it will bend towards the more dense medium. It just happens that in a stable density gradient, which makes logical sense, the air is denser below. Therefore, light bends downward. And this is a little bit counterintuitive, but the effect of light bending downward is to lift the apparent position of objects, not
Yeah,
lower
we know.
them.
Yeah, we know. So when the black swan image shows that Earth's radius would have to be what, 250,000 miles?
Yeah, that's bullshit. You can't substantiate that. Show me the math.
Whoa, whoa,
Yeah, it's a
whoa,
bullshit
buddy.
claim. No, it's a
Whoa,
bullshit claim.
whoa,
Show me the math.
whoa.
Show
Okay.
me the math.
Okay. So if
QE
we
is
apply
exceptionally
standard refraction to that observation, we are still seeing an unbelievably large radius.
Do you
So
think that based on that image, standard refraction is what's happening?
that's
Have you
my
seen,
point.
have you seen the image?
That's my point, Morland, is that
Yeah, but you're
refraction's
missing
always
the point
different.
entirely.
You
No, it's
guys
not.
put a number on it as
So
if it's constant, but it's shown wrong all the time.
No.
So
So here's the
it's
thing:
almost more likely that
the long distance observations, like Canigou and Pic Gaspard, are perfectly explainable with standard refraction. The results that you're talking about with the so-called black swan near the surface are near the surface, where refraction is far greater, and you cannot quantify and tell me the radius because that number is incorrect, and you can't show me the mathematics that it is correct. Go ahead, show me.
how do you refract a silhouette?
Because oh my god, you're really going there.
Yeah.
Jesse, do you want to
I saw one video on it, and it was absolute trash by Peter Malarkey or whatever that dude's name is.
Well, do you know what a silhouette is? What's happening with a silhouette?
Yep, it's an absence of light
No, how can you see it?
because
Can
there's light around it.
There you go. And the
So
light around it,
it's different than a shadow.
you just answered your exact question. Light around it refracts. Done. Checkmate. You're done. You're done on that argument.
Bro, the mountains also blow the curve, dummy. Are you serious?
It's
wow. Wow.
So
Well
it's
done, Morland.
it's raised by the effect of refraction. And you've now conceded that you're seeing light around the object, so your silly little absence of light can't refract script just failed.
Let me think. If the mountain and the sun are both behind the curve, right? And they're casting a silhouette that isn't visible, and then the mountain and the sun are refracted up just where we can see them, right?
in exact
Just
accordance with
perfectly.
standard refraction. I've done the math. It's completely in
Oh,
accordance with
wow.
standard.
Okay.
Yeah, I've done the math. You haven't.
Dude,
1.25 inches per
the
mile squared.
furthest Canada observation, the furthest Canada observation is like a ridiculous amount hidden. On top of that, dude,
Yeah,
you can go
but I've done the
2
math.
days a year.
It's completely. It's
What you have
yeah.
to
You know
say,
why 2 days a year?
you have because
You
you're
know why
going
2
to
days a
claim
year?
because you're going to claim standard refraction and that it's always there. That's exactly
Yeah. So
why you
2
said
days.
that earlier.
2 days a year. The reason that happens is because the sun goes behind Canigou and creates the silhouette, which allows you to
Oh,
see it. Now,
oh,
standard
thank you.
refraction. So standard refraction perfectly explains Canigou.
Show me
If
the
you actually do the
numbers. Show me the math.
math. Okay, I'm going to get it right
There's
now.
no way. There's no
It
way.
absolutely does. It just shows you haven't looked into this at all.
Right. I haven't looked into this at all.
No, you haven't. You're just going off of the basic flat Earth scripts. It's obvious.
Dude, I've been right like 4 times. You've been shown wrong like 4 times. Like,
No, you haven't. Go
it's
ahead. List me the 4 times. Which 4 times? You
you were
lied
wrong
about being
about Coriolis.
you
You were
lied
wrong
about
about
Mensa membership and having 158 IQ. So that's
No. Okay.
already
Pick
your
a date.
credibility.
Pick a date. Pick a date. Pick a date. We'll set it up with Geo. You better have 5 Gs because you're going to give it over to me if you're a 125.
I don't think you have 5
What are
Gs.
you guys? What are you doing?
Oh, there we go.
Just
There's that, huh? I'm a
bring it
flat
down to
earther, so
20
I don't
bucks.
have
You
5
guys,
Gs.
let's go.
Just you specifically. There are some flat earthers with money. I wouldn't bet
Jack,
Rakia
nah.
doesn't have 5 Gs.
Can you guys hear me?
Nah, I don't have 5 Gs. You're right.
We hear you.
I can hear you. They're
Yeah.
just carrying on.
Okay, so what is the okay, I gotta look up the numbers again.
Hey, bring it down to 20 bucks.
I just want to say what I
It's just
want to
going to
say one thing.
continue to still not being a globe for every day, so it's just we don't have anything to worry about.
So let's see. Canigou is
Hang on. I was wanting to say
sorry.
something. I was trying to get in. I want to say one thing. I'm cooking. I'm finishing sauce right now, so I won't be able to say anything more. This is all I'll say. But as far as your refraction, because you brought up Canigou, and I was trying not to come in here, but you brought up Canigou, and you said Canigou proves this and proves that. But if it did this, here's the thing about Canigou. Canigou is a special observation because it was done in infrared also, and it was also done in regular lighting. Right. So since the two refract at different refract at different rates, and in infrared it reduces the amount of the atmospheric effects and this and another, then there should be a vast difference. If what you're seeing without infrared is due to refraction, then when you use infrared, there should be a vast change. But there's not. You see the same thing in infrared as you do without it. It's just more crisp, more clear. You can see the waves at the bottom of the beach. In infrared, you can see the waves crashing up against it.
Do you have that? I've never seen that infrared observation. Can you provide that to me?
Yeah, I'll find it.
All right, cool. But basically, I mean, we keep getting like, I don't know. Yeah. Like the thing is like the refraction, the whole point is drop over distance is a affirmative measurement of the globe, and refraction works the opposite way of how you would need it to in order to get things to fit to a flat earth model. So it's not going to work that way. And then when it comes to your claim, you can't substantiate it that supposedly the distance to the oil rigs would equate to a radius of, say, 250,000 miles. And with regards to that claim in particular, the entire premise of the deductive argument about it is fallacious, because the claim in the argument is a claim about the radius, and it's used to generalize to a claim about the Earth being a sphere. So the entire modus tollens is fallacious to begin with. So I just think, and when you look at the actual photo, it's obviously heavily refracted. Like, it's extremely distorted. And you're close to the surface where refraction is far greater. That's why when we do measurements of drop over distance, we do measurements away from the surface in a stable density gradient.
By the way, this footage I've been showing, I haven't even been talking through it all, but this is a lot of the footage I found. But she says this right here. She says this is the lowest that the sun will set tonight. This is at Union Glacier. And then she says 24 hours of sunlight in Antarctica. She basically says a couple things right there that she says, yeah, the sun is always up. That's the lowest it gets. And that's it. It's always in the sky at that location. So unless it's like a fake sun, yeah, this is even more. And this is pretty like blog style. She's just holding the camera and talking here. So anyways, if you guys have been watching all this footage, it was like all this footage of the whole trip, like pretty much exactly what they were probably going through. Like it even showed the Punta Arenas airport, the departure from there, like the whole thing basically. Anyways, go ahead, Mordwand, though. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, dude. A lot of it is about like interpretation of the evidence. I think that's one thing. Like, so it's just something to consider. Maybe if I could add anything on the end of that, I guess. Yeah, like you guys have been on all these other topics as well, but I don't know, man. There's different ways to interpret things. I mean, you obviously like you sound like you sounding like you're saying you're really confident that it's the case, but you're still wanting to discuss it and debate it. So, and obviously, like there's more to the entire situation than just the claims of the globe. Because I mean, the globe is a model that can be modeled, but the question is like, I guess it's that age-old question: the difference between the map and the territory. So like what the territory actually is versus what the map says it is. Or what your maps or models or ideas are. And you've probably only experienced a very small fraction of the total of the Earth, same as myself and everyone in here.
Yeah, but that's why I think it's important to go out and measure things yourself. But now the more I learn about things, the more it's like apparent to me that the Earth is a globe. Like, recently, and I want to do this, this is just like what it looked like to me, which is pretty weak as evidence. But
so in all this footage on Antarctica, they're like upside down from where we are now, or they're on the bottom of a ball right here, even though they're just upright chilling on the ice.
Technically, there's no bottom or top. That's the problem, right? Because up and down, your entire notion of up and down is defined relative to Earth's gravity already. So your idea that there's an up and down is based on your vestibular sense, which is based on your reaction to gravity. If you're in like free fall, like if I put you, if you're in a falling box, for example, that's totally in free fall, and you get like turned around a few times and then let go. You have no way of knowing which way is up or down.
I got a question for you. If you dug a hole from freaking United States to China through, would you climb out of the hole, fall out of the hole, moonwalk out of the hole, dancing, or would you just like how would you get out of the hole? Would you climb out by a ladder? Would you walk out sideways? Would you climb out?
You'd climb out with a ladder, I think, right? Jesse, go ahead. I'm not sure how to answer that one.
It would be really simple if you could lose a lot of weight during your descent to the center. Then you would leave the other side